You are listening to the audio portion of the QB Power Hour webinar series. The QB Power Hour is a free bi-weekly webinar series for accounting professionals presented by Michelle Long and Dan DeLong, who are very passionate about the industry, QuickBooks, and apps that integrate with QuickBooks. You can find out all the details about the webinar series at qbpowerhour.com. So without further ado, here's Michelle and Dan. Hello and welcome to another edition of the QB Power Hour. My name is Dan DeLong. Michelle is in Houston at a training event, so I'll be flying solo today. Today we're going to be talking about marketing and content creation. So Michelle is our normal co-host, but she's out and about, and she is the owner of Long for Success. She is an international speaker in the Intuit Trainer Writer Network. She is the author of 5 books, obviously the co-host of QB Power Hour. Always join our Facebook group, the QB Power Users Facebook group, very active, 7,500 members and going strong. She also has a LinkedIn group that you can access. And she has been honored as one of the most powerful women in public accounting. She's always a great person to get to know, and what I like to call an Intuit accountant celebrity, if there is such a thing. I myself am Dan DeLong, owner of Danwith, a former tech support agent at Intuit. Was there for about almost 18 years, and just recently technically edited the QBO for Dummies 5th edition, which is available. So some announcements about the QB Power Hour. So obviously, we're still not doing CPE credit or anything like that. That was just that was Hector Garcia's thing, and he is doing his own webinar series. Actually, today I think is a deep dive into QBO reporting. You can go to the PDF of the slides. There's a link there that is case sensitive. Also, Michelle puts up the past recordings on YouTube, and we do have a podcast. So you should be able to click on the handouts link and go to the PDF of the slide there, or you can go into the PDF of all of the slides by clicking on that link, that tiny URL there. There's some upcoming events. Obviously, we'll have the QB Power Hour. It's bi-weekly, so actually, I'm not sure if we're actually going to be doing one next time, because that will actually be in QB Connect already, 2 weeks away. Is that true? But Michelle and I will both be there. Also, today we have Matt Fulton from helping us out with questions and answers. He'll be there, I'm sure. And then also the QuickBooks VCon Roadshow, and there's live training. You go to qbtrainingevents.com. That's where Michelle is these days. And of course, register for QuickBooks Connect at quickbooksconnect.com. To go to the qbtrainingevents.com, that's where you would register for the in-person training events, or there's a lot of webinars to also do there as well. So today we're going to be talking about marketing. I have a guest with us today. His name is David Young. He is a bona fide wizard of ads, and we're going to be talking about some of the things that make up his backstory. I love Marvel and what's the word, comic book movies. The best movies are the backstories. And then we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about some personality types in marketing, which is something that I never knew about. So this will be a great ad. And then he's developed something called shortcut content that we'll talk a little bit about. So, David,
hey,
how
Dan.
are you?
Great, thank you. I'm
So-
great. Thank you for having me this morning.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit of your wizardry. So how does one become a wizard of ads? What is Wizard of Ads actually all about?
I told you that you couldn't ask that question.
Oh.
But I spent my formative years in the radio business, and in a small market in western Nebraska.
Mm.
And when I decided to leave that business, one of the people that I was a big fan of was a guy named Roy H. Williams, who's a marketing consultant in Austin, Texas. And in 2000 or 2001, he decided to start taking on partners.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were about a dozen of us that joined him at that time. And his moniker, the Wizard of Ads, came from one of his very first clients 35 years ago. It was a jeweler. And after about the first year, he turned to Roy and said, "Roy, you're a wizard of ads." And so that kind of stuck. It predated all the Harry Potter nonsense, but it's not. I don't think it's a great name, but it's ours. We have it, and
Mm-hmm. And it's registered.
So I've been doing this.
So you knew of Roy and
Yeah, I had read his books. He wrote a trilogy of best-selling business books around 1999. They came out maybe every year, every couple years, and they all made the bestseller lists. They're super cool books. They're easy to read. They're not. I mean, we are marketers that are outside the box. We like to just kind of break the box. And Roy's books are kind of like that. They're short 1 or 2 page chapters that are just easy to digest, and they're not traditional marketing wisdom by any stretch, but they are all pretty much common sense, and that's the thing that really resonated with me. And so he also started doing some seminars at his office in Austin, Texas, actually south of Austin, a little tiny town called Buda, Texas.
Oh, Buda.
And that evolved into, like, they were just doing it in their conference room, and it evolved into a nonprofit, non-traditional business and marketing school that's out in the hill country southwest of Austin. It's called Wizard Academy. And it sits on about 22 acres. It's got student housing. It's got a 5-story tower that houses a dining hall and wine and art gallery and a classroom and a whiskey library and a star deck you can see downtown Austin from. And when you start describing this place, people think, oh, well, it's either a cult or you're crazy. So it's sort of one of those places that you have to go, you have to be there, but it's worth checking out.
You have to take a hidden train to get there? Nothing like that?
Kind of. It's not. So it's a cool place, and I've taught there. I teach content things now and then, and go down there several times a year. It's always a great place to go visit. And it teaches business owners the same kind of concepts that we use in our consulting practices. So there's about 50 of us wizards out in the world these days, most in the U.S., but we've got half a dozen in Canada and 1 or 2 in Australia. So
wow,
well, one for sure.
So with your background in radio, that's kind of how you got involved as a marketing in general?
Yeah, I mean that's where my first interest came, and so in 15 or 20 years in the radio business, I've written thousands of ads, not all using the kind of principles. Sometimes you write the ad that the client wants you to write. The drugstore hands you a list and says, "Here's our sale items," and so you end up with an ad that sounds like every other ad on the radio. And we strive to not have our ads sound like all the other ads, because that's why people tune out. They go, oh, well, yeah, here's another ad. I guess I can go do something else right now.
Right. Either I can fast forward if it's on, TiVo or something, or not pay attention.
Yeah, and I think your accountants and bookkeepers will understand this. We've sort of been, I don't know, pigeonhole's not the right word, but we're known for particularly radio campaigns. And people think, oh, that's because you have a radio background, and it's really not the case. I mean, we do television, we've done print, we do billboards, we believe in all those things. It's not that the media is what makes advertising work. It's always the message. The simple fact is that radio is sort of it's got efficiencies that other mass media have either lost or never quite had, and it's still a mass media that works. It delivers numbers, and they're measurable and accountable. Most people just do it wrong. So they'd say, oh, well, I tried radio, and they bought whatever package the radio station was selling because they
Right.
needed to make their quarterly number. And we don't do it that way. We've got our own secret sauce when it comes to putting schedules together as well. So.
Gotcha.
And
Yes.
what it turns out is that just with the competitive environment in radio, you're able to negotiate and get it as the best bang for your buck in terms of reaching the most people you can reach at a frequency that's effective, and do it long term. Because that's the key.
And then you really specialize in long product purchase cycles, right? So it's not like a restaurant where, everybody eats at least 3 times a day, sometimes more if you look at me.
So we have to make decisions about that, right? Three times a day, we have to decide, what am I going to have? Am I going to cook something? Am I going to go to breakfast with somebody? Am I going to go to lunch? What's for dinner? And so, that's it's a constantly moving target. And our preference is to work with businesses that have a longer product purchase cycle. And the reason for that is that a more powerful campaign is designed to make people think about you first and feel good about you, so that when they finally need what you do, your name pops into their head without any further prompting. So,
Right.
And I think accounting, falls into that category for sure.
Yeah.
I don't need a new bookkeeper every day. Gosh,
Hopefully not.
Hopefully, most of your viewers, clients don't need a new bookkeeper or accounting firm, until this one retires, or I move to
Right.
another town, or,
Or they refuse to adopt a new technology that they've decided is the way they want to go, or something like that. So there's going to be like a moment.
Yeah, I view it like it's kind of like banks. We don't switch banks unless our current bank kind of pisses us off. Can I say that word on this podcast?
Too late.
Too late. Sorry. Is there a? But until the bank does something to really irk us, we're happy with our bank. It's just when all of a sudden the friction gets too high, or we're not understood, or whatever reason.
Right.
There's very little another bank can do to draw me away, other than get some kind of brilliant offer in my face. Right. And that may not be enough either.
That's probably expensive, and there's no return on investment for that.
Yeah. Right. So we sit and wait till the current one either doesn't meet our needs anymore, and we need something else. And so whether it's an accounting firm or a jeweler in a market, we do a lot of work with service companies, HVAC, plumbing, heating, because those are the kind of companies that we don't need every day. And so if I can corner a little spot of real estate in your brain that says, oh my gosh, when the sink leaks or when the toilet backs up, I don't go to Google and start typing in local plumber. I just go, oh, I know Whistler Plumbing. I'm going to call them.
Right.
I feel good about them. I've heard them talk for a long time. So that's our goal is to endear you for sometimes years before you finally are in the market for whatever it is that your clients want.
So like when you need them, they're top of mind.
Yeah.
Now I can think that the kind of conversations that you have with businesses are very similar to our audience with accounting and bookkeeping, that you're talking to a business owner who, has that mindset of like, well, I can handle the marketing, right? I can post a Facebook ad or that sort of thing. So how do you overcome that when you're talking to a business about, being a marketing consultant to them?
Well, it's probably not a whole lot different than, like you said, the people watching. When somebody first needs a bookkeeping service, for example, they've probably been doing their books themselves, right? So, I get it. I did. I think I had Quicken version 1 on DOS.
It was
I could balance
part abacus, right?
Yeah, and I could do those things. In fact, before I did that, I built a check register in what was it? 123. What was the
Uh,
early
Notes.
yeah, Lotus Notes or Lotus 123, something like
Hmm.
that. I built a check register so I could enter my checks and go ding, and they would, you know, get put in the thing. So you've probably got a lot of clients that come in and say, oh, well, I know everything about bookkeeping and accounting, right? I've been doing this myself for a long time, so why would I pay you? And it comes down to at some point, every business outgrows their capability to do all the little tasks that you have to do when you first start a business. So
Right.
in our case, for a really small business, yeah, you are going to do a lot of the marketing things yourself. And sometimes the best thing you can do is spend a little bit more of your time in education, learning about marketing things and learning what's going to work and what isn't, before you hire a firm to guide you in that, and then maybe hire a firm to actually do those things. So that those are sort of the crawl, walk, run steps. Is you crawl by doing it yourself and learning as best you can, and then you start to walk. And maybe you get some advice from somebody, and they're helping you. Well, do more of this, do less of that, because sometimes an outsider has a little bit better view, and then the running phase is, oh, you've hired us to actually execute this and write the ads and negotiate the buy and those kinds of things.
Yeah, I'm literally walking with you on Mondays. we go we go hiking
Yeah.
on Mondays, and I love just being able to have your opinion on those types of things.
Oh,
Um,
thanks. And I value that from you too. And I don't know, I don't know what your audience knows about you other than this webinar, but you're running the slides, and uh, Dan volunteered for our local TEDx Tucson group and ran all the multimedia for us at our conference a couple weeks ago, and he was brilliant at it. And I know he's involved in a whole bunch of other things that you probably don't even talk about
Mention.
on this webinar. So it's a pleasure spending time with you as well.
Awesome. So I'm going to actually run a poll because we were talking about the, kind of like the lifetime engagement here. So this poll is just, what is your average length of client engagement? And this, of course, could be based off of how long you've been in business, but do you find that your clients stick around for less than a year, 1 to 5 years, or 10 plus? So go ahead and answer that.
Do we need the Jeopardy theme playing?
Yeah, we need something.
Right now, you guys are about 61% in for votes wise.
Yeah.
So getting pretty close to everybody answering.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Any questions that have popped up there that you saw that in the question box?
Not quite yet, but I know there will be quite a few. Especially, I know I have some when you start showing the software that David utilizes. So at the moment we're free of, I'm sorry, the process that you go through, I believe, right,
Okay.
David?
It's like, what?
Made me nervous now.
Threw him off. Okay, so we're gonna let's see here. Where did it go? We're gonna close the poll and share the results.
There we go.
There we go. Yes, so about 64%, between 1 to 5 years. And again, that could be, length of being in business, or it could just be that is the average bookkeeper time span.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to, give a hunch about this, it may be that a lot of your viewers answered the 1 to 5 because maybe their business hasn't been around longer than 5. So yeah,
That's
of course,
true.
the majority of them are at that length. But
Awesome.
it's not surprising that a lot of folks have very long-term clients. I mean,
Right.
before I moved to Tucson, we used the same accounting firm for, I don't know, the same one my dad used in the 70s, for this family business. So
Right.
you tend to kind of stick around, right?
Yeah, and as we're talking in this industry, you become that trusted advisor because one, you have access to all their of all their sensitive financial data, but you advise them on what to do, maybe moving forward.
And so,
And part of it,
I think the key to that, and the whole key to the idea of paying attention to a product purchase cycle when it comes to business decisions and marketing decisions in particular, is that the same strategies and tactics that work for a cafe aren't going to be as effective for an accountant,
right.
or the same things that work for car dealers. And in fact, don't get me started on car dealers. They would seem to fit our model, but they
only have an hour, David.
I know they have a different outlook, and so they think that all the results that they get are a result of their screaming and telling you to rush right in a buying frenzy because they have to move 30 cars this weekend or they're going out of business, which is not true. The thing that works about all that is that they're just consistent about it, right?
Yeah.
You can't, a good car dealer advertising in a market, you're just not going to be able to avoid them.
Right.
They're going to be as persistent and consistent in their advertising as they know they need to be. But what they mistakenly believe is that we all buy into the notion that they have to move 36 cars this weekend or they're going out of business. Right. It's not the message in their case. It's actually the medium and the frequency that they're on that kind of makes it work for them. And then so they're twitchy about things like that, and I don't like working with them.
So the slide that we have up looks like a bunch of gibberish.
It is.
Tell us about this Myers-Briggs personality types.
So, gosh, this goes back for me almost to the very beginning of my consultancy. We had a couple of partners, Jeff and Brian Eisenberg, who had a company that helped people with websites, but in particular helped people develop a kind of a marketing lens by looking at customers and therefore informing the message that you write by looking at them through this Myers-Briggs personality type. And so many of you have probably taken this. You know which of these types maybe is yours. So there's 4 different letters, and Myers-Briggs, or there's 4 different pairs of letters. And so that means that there are 16 different personality types in the Myers-Briggs world. The first letter is either an I or an E, and it's introverted or extroverted. And that is kind of how you recharge your batteries. I'm not going to go into too much depth on these, just other than to let you know that there's these 4 different aspects of it. The second letter, the N or the S, is intuitive. So the N stands for the second letter in the word intuitive. Not very intuitive, right?
I was already taken.
Yeah, because I was already taken. So the N is intuitive, the S is sensing. And that is more of how we take in information. So intuitives tend to look at the big picture and go, oh, I get it. I've seen this pattern before. And that's how I will kind of evaluate my world. And the sensors are more, I got to see the facts. I got to feel it. I got to taste it. I got to touch it. I got to hear it. I'm not going to trust as much to just the intuition. The next set of letters is either a T or an F, and it's thinking versus feeling, and it's a processing mode. So it's how I do I process based on more emotional type things and feel how others feel, or do I think of myself more as a rational thinker and I'm going to evaluate the facts and then make a decision. And then the J and P are judging and perceiving. And so a perceiving type is someone that likes to keep all their options open, sees the world in lots of shades of gray. And a J type, a judging type, it's not a bad word. It just simply means that they see the world in a little bit more black and white. There's right and there's wrong, and there's things that fit and things that don't fit.
Gotcha.
It's more of a binary view of the world. And so, all of us, if you take the actual test, I mean, there are lots of online little versions of this, but what's helpful is if you find that you're sort of evenly split between an I and an E, So you're 50% one, 50% another, and you can't decide. That's where utilizing someone that's trained in administering it can be helpful, because a big part of it is helping you identify which one is really your true preference. And so we kind of look at these as the human operating system. And we all have our kind of innate preferences, and they fall into one of these 16. But then I think the next slide is the one where we talk about, Jungian types. So
there we go.
Jung looked at these and broke them into 4 groups that don't quite fit the previous columns. So they have a little bit of a mix in them. And so, and I have them color coded because you can kind of follow the breadcrumbs here. But the SPs are sensing and perceiving. The SJs are sensing, judging, intuitive feeling, and intuitive thinking. So we're really talking about decision-making models when we look at these 4 in particular. People that see with their senses, perceive, and make a decision. And sensing and judging is, I see with my senses, and I base my decision on my internal value system of what's right and wrong. The SP, the sensing, perceiving, might make a decision based on more on what's fun or what I'm interested in at the moment. And the NF, an intuitive feeler, they're very, these are the people that are in tune to your feelings. Like they can say, Dan, are you having a bad day? You seem a little off today, right? They're people that they've seen this.
Why would today be any different?
Exactly, right. And so we call them, so they're intuitive feeling. I'll tell you what we call them in a second. And then the intuitive thinkers are people that say, okay, well, I see the pattern, I'm going to make that decision. I've seen this pattern before. I know what I want. I know what's best, and so that's what I'm going to do.
Gotcha.
And so that's a good way of kind of looking at that lens. So what's our next? Okay, here we go. So now we got a quadrant, and let's just hang on after these 4, because I think, is it just going to keep going?
I'm clicking.
Okay, yeah. Hold on, Dan.
Not so fast.
I like looking at things in quadrants, right? You can take 2 opposites and put one at the top, one at the bottom, and then take 2 other opposites and put one on the left and one on the right. And then you can take these 4 decision-making models that we talked about and place one in each of these quadrants. And so when we look at this as decision-making, we have those intuitive thinkers in the top left. These are people that make fast decisions on a logical basis. All right, and then the people that make fast decisions on an emotional basis are an SP. If we follow clockwise, the intuitive feelers make kind of slow, deliberate decisions, but they base them more on feelings and people. And then in the lower left, we've got the logical, slow decision makers. And these are people that gather all the facts, that look at them in view of, are they right and wrong, and make decisions that way. And then we throw a name on them. So I think that's the next one. And the NT we call competitive, the NF humanistic, spontaneous, and methodical. So the spontaneous, these are people like, you hit a new town, you want to find a spontaneous friend because they're going to know where the restaurants, the good restaurants are, the places to hang out. The NFs, I like to think of the humanistic as the kind of people that will ask a waiter what's the best thing to eat in the restaurant, disregarding kind of their own preference, right? It's like, I know what I like. I
don't even like salmon.
What
but
difference does it make? But that's the humanistic operating system is more, I want to fit in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that I do the things that other people like to do. And the methodical, I mean, if we were to poll your audience, my hunch is that the SJ methodical would be overrepresented in the accounting field. And that's
Perhaps.
just a matter of accounting is it's logic driven, right? You don't, the last person you want being creative is your accountant.
Well, depending on your company.
for most
Yeah.
of us,
The
right?
executives
And
at
so,
Enron would disagree with you.
yeah, well, and Uber, and there's I've read some things. There's a lot of these disruptive new modern technologies that are going to kind of fall by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up with these four lenses, and the interesting thing is if you're writing, let's say you're writing a page of web copy, and you know what what I mean by like above the fold and below the fold. So
Yeah.
it's the old newspaper
Yeah.
analogy. What you see
Right.
before you scroll down is we call above the fold. And if you're going to include language that speaks to each of these four personality types, what language would you want to at least start talking above the fold?
Mm-hmm.
Dan, what do you think?
To engage all those folks, right?
Yeah. And so we make the case that you want to get the fast ones, the NTs and the spontaneous. You want to talk about how, so competitive is like, no, this is the best decision. This is rock solid. It's guaranteed. It's proven. It's tried. It's tested. And the SP, it's fun. It's great. It's it's quick. It's they respond to words like that. And then the NFs want to know about stories. So they'll continue down a page to see what other people say about them. They want to read reviews. They want to hear testimonials. They'd like to watch a video that helps me kind of understand who you are and how you think. And the methodicals, the SJs, they want to know everything, right? They want to know your methods. They want to know who you are, how you came to these conclusions. They ask a lot of how questions. So that's a really simple way of just saying, okay, if I know that I am a methodical, an SJ, and I forget the exact percentages of the population, but just for the sake of simple math, let's divide it up into fourths. So let's say 25% of the population thinks the way you do. It means that if all of your writing is for a person like you, you may be missing the boat with like 75% of your potential readers, because you're not including the kinds of things that they like to engage in when they read. So it's just a good way of saying, okay, well, if you're a methodical and you're writing web copy or a newsletter that is targeted towards an NT, and by the way, a lot of NTs are business owners. They kind of gravitate towards entrepreneurial fields, and they kind of like being the boss. And so they don't want to read all the many things that you're going to do for them. They just want to know you're going to do it right, you're going to do it quick and on time, and the IRS is going to love you, and the bank is going to love you, and your investors are going to, all the things that they want to know, like just tick all the boxes for them. You can provide them with some proof, in deeper web copy, but what they really want to know is, are you competent? Have you done this for other people like me? Okay, great, let's do it. And the NFs, again, like I said, want to know story. So one of the things that we got involved with, like probably 15 years ago, and this is like, if you want to chase this rabbit into the woods, you're welcome to. I don't do a whole lot of it anymore because it's time consuming and it's tedious, but it's also kind of helpful. And that's to use personas. So you actually build an imaginary person out of each of these types, and you give them a name, and you give them a backstory, and you talk about their kids, and you talk about their pets, and you talk about the business that they're in, and how they make decisions, and how they've made mistakes in the past, and how that turned out, and what they're really looking for in their next accountant. And it's a very useful tool, but again, it's a lot of work, and I don't do much of it anymore because it's a lot of work, and there's not very many companies that are willing to pay you to do this kind of in-depth creative work. It's almost like writing, like if you're writing for a sitcom. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, Dan. Sex and the City.
Right.
And I forget the names. That you're a much bigger fan of Sex and the City than I ever
was.
So.
Now I'm thrown out there. Yeah. So like you were saying yesterday, like each of those major characters represents these
Yeah.
people. You know,
So
you could Carrie and
Carrie was the humanistic, right? And that was evident in her storytelling, right? She was the narrator of the thing. The spontaneous was
the Kim Cattrall character.
Kim
I can't
Cattrall
remember.
character. Yeah, I can't remember her name. It wasn't Kat, was it? No, I can't remember her name. The competitive was, I think the
brunette.
No, I think she was methodical. I think. Well, I don't remember. Anyway, but you can. I should have picked a different. So the original Star Trek series, Dan.
There you go. Just fill in the gaps there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways you can.
Samantha, by the way, everybody's saying Kim Cattrall was Samantha.
Samantha, thank you. Okay,
see, that's why we have you there, man.
I should watch that, right? So, yeah, I mean, there's so many sitcoms you can just look and they have 4 main characters, and you can divvy them up this way. You can kind of identify which one is. Now they sometimes, remember, we're only looking at NTs, SPs, SJs, and NFs, and there were 12 other combinations. So they may not fit in quite this model, but that's typically what you do is just like you would write a character for a show. So this is a good example of that. So if you don't have personas to use, like I said, you're either marketing to yourself and you fail to address at least 65% of the rest of the market, or you market to stereotypes, the stereotype of the product or the customer, or you market based on price. And the interesting thing about marketing to stereotypes, even if we talked about the 4 characters from Sex and the City, we tend to sort of be talking about stereotypes because we don't have a lot of detailed information about them, and they're we still just kind of know what we see. But so here's an example of it. So if we had personas, a lost wallet lies on a Manhattan street stuffed with cash. A white middle-income male New Yorker between 30 and 44 picks it up. Will he look for the rightful owner or pocket the cash? And nobody really knows, right? Because we don't know much about this guy. We know how old he is. We know he's middle income. We know he's male. What is he going to do, right? We don't know anything about his value system.
Right. So we're thinking in terms of demographics. You know, when you're thinking like in Facebook ads or something like that, where like I want the males that are between 30 and 44 because they will do this if I give them this ad, right?
Right. But if we turn it into a persona and we give it a little bit more flesh and a little bit more, we know that guy.
What happened there?
So George Costanza fits that demographic information, but we know what he's going to do if he's the guy that picks that wallet up.
Gary.
Right? It's not going to be a demographic driven notion at all. So that's kind of where you can go if you follow that rabbit into the woods. And so I don't have a slide on it, but my friends Jeff and Brian wrote a book years ago. In fact, I probably have a bunch of copies of it. So if you wanted to do a drawing or something, it's called. The title of the book is actually a question, and it's Waiting for Your Cat to Bark. And it goes deep into how you create personas and how you create web copy around the idea of personas. So let's just take another just kind of quick look at what these 4 different quadrants are, and if you want to write to them, these are the slides that you would use when you download. This is the kind of things that you would say if you're trying to attract methodicals. And in fact, I'd recommend that as an accounting firm, if you really identify with that, you use this as language for writing your next job description when you're looking to hire someone, right? You want people that meet these kind of criteria for the methodical, I would think, especially. So the competitive, there's the list, the bullet list of them. Or I'm not going to read these because you can download them.
You can definitely use that from the handouts.
Yeah, I mean, these are people that really fear missing out on whatever life has to offer. We used to joke about, at conventions, when somebody has something that they're selling from a stage, it's the spontaneous that are running up to buy it. They're running to the back of the room with cash in their hand. And then when the next speaker comes up, they're running to the back of the room to get a refund on the one that they just bought.
Instant buyer's remorse.
Yes. Oh no, I made the wrong decision.
Dang it.
Reverse it. And then the humanistic. So this is kind of interesting. We're going to take a look just at the same piece of copy. This is the exact same paragraph. And this is just an example of how you can write to all 4 of these personality types by the words that you choose. And so the methodical is going to be attracted to, in this piece of copy, our approach is time to meet your objectives. The bottom line is that your results are guaranteed. Explore our methodology to discover how thousands of clients just like you have been delighted. So that guarantee and explore our methodology that's music to the ears of the SJ methodical. The next one, same piece of copy, but the competitive bottom line results guaranteed, right? Those are the words that they go, okay, all right, I want to know more, or I'm ready to go. The next one, same piece of copy, the spontaneous, our approach is time to meet your objectives. They would also, I think, be kind of attracted to the delighted word at the very end of that, if they got to the bottom of the paragraph.
If they made it there that far.
Yeah. And then the humanistic, discover how thousands of clients just like you, right? We help people just like you. All of our customers are just like you, Dan. They're just like you, right? And so a humanistic is going to feel good about that.
Right.
So that's sort of our approach to how we create content and how we talk about it. Yeah. And so we built websites for our clients, back in the day when you couldn't find people like Dan to build them. And it's still a great way to write content. What's happened is after years of developing personas, you kind of just get a knack for it and you start writing in those terms. But we also found out that a lot of our clients had trouble creating content. And so imagine if you're, let's take it out of the accounting world, right? Because this might be a good place for the other poll though, but I was gonna say a lot of, like I had a roofing client that absolute expert in his field, but not a writer, right? So it was impossible for us to pull writing out of him. So if you've done any content creation on this poll, what describes you, right? If you don't even know what we're talking about, or like most people, I mean, there's a lot of dead blogs out there. So if you started a blog, mostly you'll see if somebody links to their archives that they started a blog and they had some great momentum, maybe in the 4th quarter of 2015, and then just crickets since then.
Yeah, they got a lot of traction, but then they got a lot of business, and then that pulled them away.
Yeah, that's true too.
Doing that.
If you regularly post, but not as much as you want to, and regularly, I think that's regularly can mean just about anything. It can be weekly, it can be monthly, it can be quarterly. Like I know businesses that send out a quarterly newsletter. That's content, by the way. It's not all blogging. This webinar is content because you're going to turn it into a podcast. It's going to go on YouTube. The beautiful thing about especially audio content is that you can repurpose it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So that's the poll.
Okay, so about 50% have voted, and I'll just share the results. Okay. So most of the folks are in that. What is content?
What is content? Well, I mean, again, the simple answer, and those numbers aren't too surprising to me. Yeah. And I think that the what's content, we all kind of know. I mean, this is content. What you're sitting watching right now is content. It's people telling stories. It's people teaching. It's people giving you tips. So if you do an email newsletter for your clients, you send out helpful things. That's all content. And what I knew from my experience in the radio business was that audio content is the easiest content to create, bar none, right? It's what we do. It's when we talk about Myers-Briggs as the human operating system, the deeper machine learning or the machine language operating system of the human brain is our ability to assign meaning to sound. We've got the biggest auditory cortex by percentage of our brain, I think, than any other mammal. And that just means that we're really good at saying, oh, well, I hear some sound and I can assign meaning to it. So if I say the word giraffe, you form a mental image that's composed of sight, sound, smell, emotion. You form an image in your head of this brownish, yellowish, spotted, long-necked, long-legged animal that you might
Freak.
have images. What's that?
Freak.
Freak. You might have
looking
images of Africa in your head, right? But just the simple word giraffe will evoke this rich mental image in just about everybody's head. And so that's what we're really good at. That's what we learn as babies. We respond to the voice of our mom, the voice of our dad, and we start to put meaning to these words, and then we start to learn to say them ourselves. And in fact, they've proven that you cannot read a book, a sign, a billboard, an email without engaging the auditory cortex, because in your head, the written word has to be turned into an audio representation of it for it to have meaning. So without the word giraffe echoing in your head, whether it's spoken aloud or not, you won't bring up that mental image. So even if you see a picture of a giraffe, if you know what it is, the word giraffe comes in, and that's where that meaning flows from. So again, that's why auditory content is the easiest to produce. And so in order to help these clients of mine, I was like, God, I don't know how to get them to actually write. I know these people are deep experts at what they do. They just won't write. They either don't have time or they don't have confidence in their writing skills. And so that's kind of what keeps them from actually creating content.
Yeah, one of our listeners or viewers is said, I'm not so creative, or I'm so not creative, never know what to share or how, which segues precisely into what you want to talk about, shortcut content, right?
Yeah, and do we have the one last poll? Is there one more?
Yeah, there's one more.
So this is about content, and so when you say, first of all, I reject the notion that you're not creative. I think we're all creative. It's whether we kind of choose to exercise that muscle or not. And there are lots of exercises, things that you can do that can prove that you really are creative in your way and for your purposes, and it's good for you to do that. But when you think about creating content, what are the things that what's the biggest issue for you? I guess we could have made this a choose all that apply, but so the person that asked about I don't know what to write, or you can't find the time, or you lack confidence in your writing, or something else.
Okay, so let's go ahead and close out the poll here. And we'll share the results.
Finding the time.
Yeah.
That's a good problem. Well, I say that is in that if you can't find the time to write, hopefully that means you're so busy doing work for your clients that you don't have the time.
Right.
Hopefully that doesn't mean that you're too busy on Facebook to find the time.
Right.
Like I am.
I'm binge watching something. That's getting in the way.
Sex and the City now.
Now I have to catch up and find out who those other people are.
Yeah. So if you don't know what to write, what you're seeing on the screen, I put together an exercise, and I give this away. So if you go to shortcutcontent.com, I think it's in the About Us link, but it's a brainstorming exercise. And in 45 minutes, okay, so you have to be able to find 45 minutes. And this is going to solve problem number one, is that I don't know what to write about.
And it's a straight block of 45 minutes, not 25 minutes in the morning and then
Yeah,
know,
it's
20 in
basically
the afternoon.
give yourself an hour, clear an hour, turn your phone off.
Don't do it while you're driving.
Don't do it. No, it doesn't work while you're driving. But it's a way of if you're an expert at what you do, and I assume that everybody on this webinar is an expert at this field, right? You're doing it for a living, and you know what you're doing. This exercise in 45 minutes will give you a list of 64 things that you could create content about right now without going out and doing more research. So it's things that you already know that you maybe just are going, well, I don't know if anybody really wants to know that. Because what happens is if we can't think of the content that we want to write, it's because we're prejudging it as it comes out of our heads, and we're just not letting it happen. And so this exercise puts a really harsh artificial deadline on it, and I like to describe it as tying the left half of your brain behind your back so that the right half, the creative part of your brain, can just dump these ideas out, and you can judge them later. You're free to pick them back up, dust them off, and go, nope, throwing that one away. But that solves that first problem. So if you go through that exercise in 45 minutes, you're going to have a list of things that you could talk about to your clients for the next year, just picking one a week. Okay, so that's
And you had said, like, if you just took the 6 things that you have to say over and over and over again and created content out of that would be, I mean, that would now take some of that time that you don't have the time to do and give you more time to.
I'm not sure I'm following the 6 things.
Well, you were saying, like, whatever the things are that you find that you're repeating either to clients that call.
I forgot about that. Yeah. So yeah, another, and I think I mentioned this in the exercise, but one of the things that you can do to create a list of content that's even simpler than this exercise is start keeping track of what clients ask you when they call. Particularly pay attention to what potential clients ask you when they call. What questions are you answering over and over again? If you have a receptionist, you tell them this is what you start writing down. You keep a tablet next to the phone and you write down every question everybody asks, and you start looking for things that are kind of common. And those are, if not blog posts, that's information that needs to be on your website.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're having to answer these questions all the time when people call, you need to put that information on your website. Do you use QuickBooks Online? Okay, yeah, we use QuickBooks Online. Right? I don't know what the questions are, but that's another way of just keeping track and finding the things that your customers and your potential customers really want to know. Is just keep track of what questions you're answering all the time. So one of the solutions to that second one is, if you don't have time to create content, then find somebody that can help you with it. Now that's sometimes an easy thing and sometimes not so easy. I mean, you can hire ghostwriters. There are companies that will write articles for you. Sometimes that works well. I find that in deep expertise type topics, that's not always the best solution, because if you just hire somebody to write a 500-word article on some accounting topic, now you've got to double check and make sure they got it right.
Yeah.
You hope they didn't steal it from somebody else, because that could get you penalized by Google for duplicate content. So to me, one of the best approaches is to go back to, like I said, the human brain's operating system and create that content by speaking it into existence. And a couple of ways you can do that. There's voice recognition software. I mean, you could probably just tell Siri your blog post.
Oh, my phone went off.
But sometimes that's not quite enough, because we get a little self-conscious about that. It's sort of like making a speech. But
yeah,
again,
I freeze up when I know something is listening, and
yeah, I have trouble with that too. I'm self-conscious about asking Siri questions.
I can never get Alexa to turn on the light because I freeze up. It's like
she just doesn't like you.
No,
Alexa, do that thing I want. So what Shortcut Content essentially is a service that I developed to help my own clients get that content out of their heads. So we, for a price now, you can do the exercise. That doesn't cost you anything. Just do it. You'll have a list. Send some good karma my way. But if you want help, like if you're really starved for time and you've got some budget to create content with, and it could be writing a book, it could be writing a blog, it could be doing a podcast, we can take those ideas and help you turn them into podcasts and blog posts. Is sort of the entry level side of things. And so we take one of those topics that you came up with, for an example, and do an interview. It's no different than what Dan and I are doing right here. You sit down at your computer and we have an interviewer that sits down at their computer and we say, all right, Dan, tell us about the simple secret you have for reconciling a checkbook. I don't know what the topic is, right? So Dan explains it, and he does that in about 5 seconds. And we typically speak at about 750 words a minute. No, excuse me. We typically speak at 150 words a minute. So in 5 minutes, you'll spit out 750 words, and we can then transcribe that, hand it to an editor who turns it into blog copy of maybe 300 to 400 words, and then we take that audio and turn it into a little podcast episode. So now in your 5-minute conversation with us, we've handed you back 2 unique, distinct pieces of content that you can put in a newsletter, you can put on your website, you can post to your podcast channel. You can even turn them into videos. And we also have worked with people where we've installed video studio equipment in their office so that they can do that exact same interview, but do it in front of a camera. So now you've got a video, a podcast, and a blog post that are created from a 5-minute conversation. So that's a paid approach, and you can find people and do that yourself. Happy if you hire me. So either way.
Yeah, and that's it's all on your website. You can.
That's what it costs right there.
You can go there.
That's for weekly for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So
even you could do different periods of time.
Yeah, I mean, I've got clients that buy this quarterly package, but they only want to do every other week, so we'll spread it out over 6 months.
Gotcha.
Or if you're writing a book and you know it's going to have 26 chapters, then buy 2 packages, and we treat each one as a chapter, and that's the way. It's a great way to write a book. We've done. I've probably helped half a dozen authors write books using this method.
Awesome. And then so this is what the end result looks like. The Whistler.
Yeah. So this is just a web screen or a screen capture of one of our clients out in Virginia. We've been working with him. I forget how many episodes we've done, but it's a lot. So probably 5 or 6 years no, it's even more than that, 7 or 8 years at a podcast and a blog post a week. And This is what it looks like on his site, right? I can't take credit for the fact that you can't read his headline on his background, but top facts homeowners should know about water heater repairs. Mm-hmm. And Google loves that kind of stuff too, right? That tells Google this is a guy that's been posting for years about plumbing topics, and so Google loves that. They know he's a real business, and they know that he writes things that are useful to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love when we're in the same BNI group, and when the handyman came in, he's on the verge of retiring. He's like perfect for this kind of stuff because, like you said to him, you know where the bodies are buried.
He knows so much. He's forgotten half of it.
Tons of stories that he could just come in and do he doesn't even have to come in if he's going to do just the podcast piece of it. You could just reach out to him and just talk to him. Mm-hmm. Which is awesome.
And again, it's easy, right? You don't have to write. He didn't build his career by writing. He built his career by fixing things for people. So if we talk to him about the common problems that homeowners have and how you fix them, people will love that. And we're all pretty good at telling stories, right? We have conversations all the time. It's not hard. So that's my story, Dan.
And that's the story. You're going to stick to it.
Are we
Well,
hard
we
hard
are
stop
running
at an
over
hour?
a little bit. Well, some people I know they have to drop off. They got other commitments. Certainly. Oh.
Got a lot
And
of
I didn't
compliments behind the scenes here. Everybody loves the content. I mean, super
turn
knowledgeable.
off this.
All
Great
right,
stuff.
thanks.
If I could get to this thing to turn off that noise.
I don't hear the noise.
Oh,
Whatever the
okay.
noise is. Okay.
There was a phone call coming in on the VoIP line that I didn't turn off. But yeah,
These things
any
happen.
questions that popped up there that you saw, Matt?
You actually organically answered quite a few of them. Most of the questions were all focused around the idea of, how do I find the time to create content? Or I don't consider myself to be creative, so what do I do? I was trying to answer as best I could, channeling you, David, towards all of this, of course, but great stuff again. People putting in here, wow, right? By the way, Dan, you did turn on Deborah Bradshaw's lamp.
Oh,
She said thank you for that.
you're welcome.
So they did also want to know, you referred to a link earlier, that if we could share that link, and then where also the website where the quiz was at, I believe, were two things.
Oh,
They're
the
one and the
brainstorming
same,
question?
right? Right.
Yeah, so if you go to the next slide, Dan, that's my email address, and that's the website, shortcutcontent.com. And if you click on the About Us, I think it's in the About Us menu that has the brainstorming exercise. And it's a 6-page PDF that you download and print, and then you watch a video. It's me guiding you through this exercise for 45 minutes. And the whole idea of it is that you go nonstop. So the timing for the different parts of the exercise are built into the video, and all the instructions are built into the video. So you basically hit the play button and then follow the instructions and write as fast as you can. I like to joke, if you don't have writer's cramp at the end of 45 minutes, you weren't working hard enough.
Awesome.
We all have those ideas, that content in us. We just judge them before we
Right.
spit them out, and we don't do the thing that we know our customers would probably like this.
Yeah.
At least some of them would.
Yeah, we let the great to be the enemy of the good.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let those things come out organically, so that we can actually cultivate them, and like you said, speak them into existence.
I always recommend having what Seth David taught me is as a swipe file. So when I start to write something out, if it's an unfinished thought, I still save everything. I mean, I've got folders of the junk, and then I come back to it at a different time when it becomes relevant again.
That's a great idea, and I've never been disciplined enough to do a swipe file, but I mean, a quick and dirty thing you can do is, I don't recommend stealing content, but steal ideas. So subscribe to the newsletters of the what do they call them, the top 5 accounting firms or whatever they are.
Big Five.
Subscribe the Big Five. Yeah. Subscribe to other accountants' newsletters. Look at other people's site. Google accountant blog, and steal the headlines, and then do your own take on them. So if they do top 3 tips about this topic in QuickBooks, then you do your own version of that, right? Don't steal their content, just do your take on it.
Benchmark.
And it will be perfectly original. There's no such thing as an original idea, really. So and there's no end to the kinds of things that they're all trying to come up with things that are going to be attractive for people. Talk to an SEO guy, and Dan could probably help you figure out what are the keywords that you want to do, right? So if you're just trying to make your site more attractive in Google's eyes, you want some of those topics to be keyword driven as well.
Right.
And then it's just working those into the questions that you answer.
Well, awesome. I think this was great. Matt, thank you for stepping up and helping us with the questions. We definitely had some technical challenges, getting things shared. And David, I really appreciate you taking the time to just hear a little bit about what goes on in in that world, and
All right. Yeah.
providing a way for people to create content, because we did have a webinar on how to create videos, but this is another caveat that, maybe those people that don't want to create videos, they could still create content, or at least come up with the ideas of what to say, and then go from there.
Video's harder than you think, right? I mean, it's not hard, but there's a lot more moving pieces to it for sure.
I gotta get a shower, put pants on. I mean, those are those are steps to take that you don't have to do.
I had to agonize. Do I wear this shirt? It's solid blue. They're not going to be interference lines. There's a lot of things to think about for getting into a camera.
Well, awesome. Well, again, thank you for joining us today. We'll be putting this up on the podcast and in the YouTube channel. So again, I think we're going to take off because of QB Connect in 2 weeks, but we'll see you after that.
Thank you, Dan. This was fun.
Have a great day.
We hope you enjoyed listening to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in our Facebook group. You can find those resources and much more at qbpowerhour.com.